Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Trails Radio Show. Thank you for joining us this evening. Today, my special guest is actor Mr. Paul Wong. Thank you, and join us in a minute. Okay, my first question to you is, how did you get started in the acting business? What sparked your interest in acting?
Well, let's see. My very first show was I was 13 years old in junior high school, and the high school was doing a production of Finian's Rainbow, and they needed children. Mm-hmm. And so the choir director for the 7th grade choir was also the high school choir director and the vocal director of the show. And so they cast the children out of the 7th grade choir, and so I was one of those. And that was my first show, and that kind of bit me with the bug, and so I've been doing stuff, ever since then. I did shows in high school, did shows in college, and, always found my way back to musical theater, which is my first love, I think.
Yeah, I've done theater, not musical theater, but I started out in high school theater and stuff, and that's fun. I love theater because you get the audience's reaction right away, and each time you perform, it's a different audience,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Do you still do theater or musical theater?
Yes. I've the last thing I did was a musical theater guild's concert production of Zorba last fall. Mm-hmm. I've auditioned for a few things this year, but it hasn't worked out yet. But still looking for the next project. Actually, went on an audition yesterday, and I have a couple others coming up later this month. So you never know when things are gonna pop.
Yeah, well, there's always opportunities, My next question to you is, what is the most challenging part or the most difficult part for you being an actor?
I think it's probably staying positive in a business where you hear no more often than you hear yes, and I think it's staying fresh with keeping your skills up to date, and putting yourself out there and being confident in what you're doing, even though oftentimes you won't get cast or you won't get the job. Realizing that oftentimes it's not because you weren't good, it's just that there's lots of other reasons for why people get cast or don't get cast. Or if there are 3 or 4 good people for any one role, 2 or 3 of those people aren't going to get it, even though they were perfectly good and under other circumstances could have gotten it. So it's a matter of being confident enough with your with your abilities and your skills, and trying to maintain a positive attitude, in the face of hearing no.
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult part. Don't take rejection personally when you audition, and it's a tough business, but you have to stay positive, like you said.
Yes, and I think that's a very common challenge that all actors face. And there are ups and downs. There are times when you're the one that's chosen, and times that you're not, and you have to kind of maintain your balance throughout the ups and downs.
Yeah. Because this business is not for everybody. I don't think you have to have a thick skin, and you have to know what you're getting into.
Yeah, well, it certainly helps.
Oh, yeah. My next question to you is, do you have any upcoming projects, any upcoming acting roles in theater or television or anything?
Not right now. Like I said, I'm looking for the next project. I have a few auditions coming up later this month. I'm actually going for an audition this afternoon for a group that puts on cabaret concert sorts of programs at a nightclub. So it's not quite the same, but it's new musical theater. So it's that sort of material, but just not in the same kind of venue. But it's it's still performing, it's still musical theater. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, each acting gig is different, but it's very rewarding, because you learn something new from every acting job you get.
Absolutely. And I love meeting and working with new people. Of course, it's great to work with people you worked with before. It's, like family, but it's like you create a new family every time you do a show.
Yeah.
And, it's a very collaborative process.
Oh, yeah, because you have to do it. You can't just do it alone, that it's a team effort, You got to work with everybody.
That's quite right.
My next question to you is, what is your advice to people who want to get into the acting business? What is your advice?
Well, I think there are a number of things. As you mentioned before, getting into the business is not for everyone in terms of, the lifestyle. You have to be, willing to, if you're going to do it as your profession in terms of, how you make your money, you have to be willing to, put up with the, the potential financial and emotional instability of the business.
Mm-hmm.
From a technical standpoint, of course, it's important to get training. Musical theater is a little more complex in that besides just acting, there's other technical things like singing and dancing, or so it's a lot of things to kind of keep going, and so it's important to make sure that your skills are up to stuff, and that you're keeping current with what's marketable, and then just to keep on keeping on, just to go out there and despite the ups and downs.
Yeah, because if you really enjoy it, if you really want to do it, nothing will stop you. Once the
And training is good not only just to keep the skills up, but it also keeps you in contact and interaction with other like-minded artists, and with a good coach or a good teacher can kind of keep you grounded in terms of where you're at in terms of your abilities, where you may need to improve, or what you're doing right. So it's important to create a community that can help support you in the good times and bad times, emotionally and artistically.
Yeah, because it is a tough business. That's why they call it business. It's show business, but still,
Mm-hmm.
You have to be prepared, know what you're getting into, and it's it's hard for some people to make a living at it, but if you really enjoy it, you wouldn't quit.
Yeah. Or there are other ways of doing it too. I mean, oftentimes people will have other other sort of gigs or side jobs to support themselves, so that they can still do the acting, but not necessarily have to depend on it for the bread and butter.
Yeah. Well, Paul, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for sharing your advice to me and my listeners, and thank you for telling me about your career. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that was actor Mr. Paul Wong. Thank you very much for listening. Join us again this evening when I interview actress Miss Holly Hawkins. And join us Monday when I interview voice actor and actor Mr. Jack Angel. And join us. We got a whole bunch next week. But Thursday when I interview radio host Mr. Gil Gross. Friday when I interview reporter and journalist Mr. Lou Irwin. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless you all.